Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the council meeting. This is a meeting of the Tinton Falls Borough Council being held September 19th, 2023. This meeting is hereby called to order. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at Borough Hall and by notification to the Asbury Park Press, the Newark Star Ledger, and the New Coaster at least 48 hours prior to the meeting and filing with the Borough Clerk, all on December 20th, 2022.
Thank you. May I ask the clerk to call the roll?
Ms. Buckley?
Here.
Mrs. Clay?
Here.
Dr. Dobrin?
Here.
Mr. Nessie?
Here.
Mr. Manginelli?
Here. At this time, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in the reading of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. There are no minutes for approval this evening. We'll go to the reports. Mr. Neff, Borough Engineer.
I just wanted to follow up for council's awareness. At the last meeting, we did have a gentleman who had some questions on sidewalks in the south end of town. I did meet with him. He came into Borough Hall. He spent about a half hour the other day going over his ideas and his concerns and questions, went over everything that the borough has done, some of our other plans. So I think we're on the same page with that gentleman. We'll take it into consideration with the next sidewalk and road programs that we do, see if there's anything extra we can do in the south end of town, but just want to let you know we did follow up with him, and I think it was a good, productive meeting. He was very grateful to some of the council members that he has worked with. He said he was impressed with how responsive the council was and administration and everyone at Borough Hall, getting back to him and taking his comments into consideration. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Terafenko.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Just one quick reminder that we do have Community Day coming up October 7th with a rain date of October 8th. And if anybody's still interested in any sponsorships, they can go to our main website and all the information is posted there. And they can reach out to my assistant, Doreen Hoffman. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Terafenko. Mr. Starkey.
I have nothing for myself, but the mayor asked me to report that he's sorry he could not make it tonight, but he appreciates everyone undertaking the work in his absence, and he'll be back soon. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Hutchinson.
I have no report this evening, thank you.
Council reports. Ms. Buckley.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Just a couple of items. First, on September 10th, Sojourn had their end of summer barbecue. Saw some of the residents there, which was lovely. The leadership from Sojourn came down from Massachusetts, and they had a lovely ceremony celebrating the veterans and the end of the summer. So I was happy to be able to attend that. And then the next day was 9/11. As you all know, to go in the city in the morning. And I just want to thank the fire companies and the administration, everyone that put together the 9/11 ceremony here in Tinton Falls. It was wonderful and reverent, and I was glad that everybody was able to be there despite the rain. And then finally, the next Environmental Commission meeting is September 28th at the Crawford House at 7:30. All are welcome to attend. And that's all for my report.
Thank you. Mrs. Clay.
Thank you, Council President. A couple of items, a few of them have been touched on already. As Councilwoman Buckley mentioned, the 9/11 ceremony was fantastic. The fire companies came together, and as a Councilwoman Buckley mentioned, despite the rain, the turnout was amazing. Very much looking forward to Community Day. It's fast approaching, and I hope to see everybody there this year. And what else? Board of Education will be meeting on Thursday this week. And also this evening we have an ordinance for final consideration, a farm ordinance, and I'm just very pleased that that's on the agenda this evening, and I'm very happy that we were able to expedite that ordinance. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Clay. Dr. Dobrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Tinton Falls Library Association had their board meeting on 9/14, and the president, Rosemary Kochman, wanted to thank, of course, Sherry, the DPW, Tinton Falls Police Department, Charlie Terafenko, and she wanted to give thanks to our council for the support for the music festival. The attendees responding were very positive, and they look forward to this event. It's becoming like a yearly event. The music was well appreciated. They had a children's corner for the kids. They didn't run out of food this year, which was good, so they're very excited about that. And the fundraiser was a very successful event for the Tinton Falls Library Association. Today we actually had our council president, John Manginelli, myself, and Charlie Terafenko were at the Stay New Jersey, where Senator Gopal and Speaker Craig Coughlin were talking about Stay New Jersey. It's a program which will allow families that plan to stay in New Jersey to stay in New Jersey, considering the property taxes. What will go into effect for homeowners 65 plus is that they can get a capped amount of $6,500 annually for each homeowner. And that's for people who earn less than $500,000. So they've really been very inclusive. And that's quite a chunk. Of course, for the seniors, I'm not sure that they're going to be too happy because it won't go into effect till 2026. So hopefully everybody will still be around, including myself and the rest of us seniors. So, but it's an interesting program, and it's something that we should be well aware of. And I think that's about all I have to say, except that I also was at the 9/11 with the rest of our council and our business administrator, and I have to say it was a beautiful service, and we were very touched by the commentaries and the words. And of course, it's dear to all of our hearts, and we can't forget 9/11, of course. But otherwise, thank you very much, council people and president. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dobrin. Mr. Nessie.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. I have a couple items. First, the Planning Board heard an application from 135 Apple Street. They submitted a preliminary and final major site plan, which was approved for a 3-story mixed office space use, primarily for or geared towards professional use, such as dentist or lawyer office, and upstairs would be 2 apartments. And that's in the corner of Apple Street and Hance, the lot right there. To me, it looked pretty good, so I'm actually very pleased with it. The second item was the board reviewed and agreed the proposed ordinance that is on tonight's agenda for final consideration, amending various sections of the Borough Code to update regulations for farms and agricultural use to be not inconsistent with the master plan. And that concludes my report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Nessie. I don't have anything to say because all of my folks have said good stuff about everything we've done this past week. So I have no report. There are no ordinances for introduction this evening. We have one ordinance that Kevin will explain the revisions for. This is one ordinance for final consideration. We will hold public hearing on the ordinance with comments being limited to 3 minutes. Comments may only pertain to the ordinance. May I ask the clerk to read the title of the first ordinance?
2023-1507, an ordinance amending various sections of the Borough Code to update regulations for farms and agricultural uses.
Mr. Starkey?
Yes, thank you, Council President. This ordinance was approved on first reading at the last meeting, and generally what this does, it updates regulations for farms and agricultural uses. One of the provisions in here when it was approved on first reading was the regulation of bees and beekeepers. I found out after first reading that state law governs bees and beekeepers, and the town is not allowed to regulate those. It's already being regulated by the state, The state prohibits municipalities from regulating it. So those provisions, there were only a couple, they were minor, were taken out of this ordinance, and I'm stating this just so the record is clear and the public is aware of the change between first and second reading. That is not a material change in the ordinance, so the council can proceed tonight with a public hearing and second reading for this ordinance as with those amendments. Thank you, Council President.
May I have a motion to open public discussion on this ordinance?
Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment? Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Councilwoman Buckley, would you like to, you have questions about this ordinance?
Do we do that during the public comment? or-
No one's come forward. May I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I just have some clarifying questions, if you could. Let's see, going specifically, my questions are, may seem minute, but what page is this? Hold on. So it's on page 3, under 40-37, conditional uses B, H, and then there's a whole bunch of sub-bullet points. This may seem minor, and I'm just trying to understand. 7, or VI, control of pests, right, including but not limited to insects and weeds, predators and diseases. And then on VII, it says animal and bird control devices can be used. So if this is like raising agriculture, are we then, are these farms exempt from our firearms ordinance? Where if this is considered a farm and they get a permit for a farm property in the residential R1 or R2 zone, and they're raising either flowers or plants or whatever, and a predator, i.e. a deer or a fox, which we have a lot of, come on the property, is this, by these statements here, is that then giving that property owner the ability to shoot and/or there's trapping noted in here as well? That's my question, that's my primary concern.
You want me to take that? There's regulations that apply to farms that are designated as farmland by the county and by the state. We're not designating properties as farmland under that ordinance.
Right.
Under the farmland designation, yes, farmers are allowed to use that. This does not fall within that same exemption. So
Right.
if someone has, in a residential zone, they have a 5,000 square foot lot, they're not permitted because of that. If they have, some flowers they're growing, they're not permitted to use a shotgun to kill things, under that. So no, the exemption does not apply under this ordinance.
Okay, so then do we need to change the wording here? Because the way I read it, it makes it seem like it does, because they're getting a special permit to be classified as a farm under our ordinance, although they're not under the NJ Right to Farm Act.
Right, I believe in our firearms exception of the code, it applies to, the exemption applies to farmland designated by the county or the state, not by the township. So it doesn't, the exemption doesn't apply under our ordinance.
Right, understand that. So the wording here then currently makes, in my view, seems contradictory then to the firearms ordinance. Because this is, by this ordinance, it's saying you do have the right to control pests and predators. But then I could see if I'm a homeowner doing this, I think I have the right to under this ordinance, and so it seems to conflict with the other ordinance. That's my,
Okay,
But does it say, unless I'm just not reading the right section, does it say you can use a shotgun?
it doesn't say,
Somewhere.
it doesn't be specific. It
Right.
just says you
So then I
can
think
use
the-
animal and bird control devices.
Right, so then I think the firearms ordinance would apply when that comes to using guns. There's other methods outside of guns to control the pests and any rodents.
Right,
I
I'm
think
trying
that's
to-
what it's applying to.
I can tell, I can say this publicly, if anyone reads this as allowing them to have firearms on their property in a residential zone and to fire them up, they're wrong, and I think the police are capable of handling that if it comes to that. I don't honestly see how anyone could read this as falling within the exception under the firearms ordinance.
Well, if they have a permit, not to belabor the point, but if they have a permit to operate a farm under our ordinance, right, and they have the ability to control pests and predators, they can trap, they can do whatever means necessary to get rid of that predator that's threatening their business, right, their livestock. This includes livestock, so raising chickens, right, foxes go after chickens. That's what I'm trying to clarify. That's probably my only concern, given the lot size of having a farm here, what that would enable them to do. I just think it should be clarified. If in fact they're not allowed to do that, then I just think the wording should be clarified to state that. That's all my primary concern. Tom answered the rest of mine.
This doesn't affect the vote on adoption, does it, of this?
It does not.
Okay.
I heard Councilwoman Buckley's comments. I think
May I have a motion for adoption?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Ms. Buckley?
Abstain.
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes. May I have a motion to open public discussion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is the time the public may comment on any topic of their choice. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Please come up. You're gonna be at the podium.
Can I show everybody a picture real quick or no? That's in front of my house. That's the garbage truck spewed hydraulic fluid all over my street. Just you?
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Everybody's aware.
Pardon?
Everybody's aware. Just state your name
Okay.
and your address.
Okay. My name's Robert Chiaz. I live at 9 Liberty Drive in Tinton Falls, and I've lived there for 33 years. Okay. In front of my house is a disaster, okay? It's upset the quality of my house, the price of my house, the kids that walk up and down the street, the environment on my house, the animals the people who walk their dogs up and down, they're gonna walk through this. It is still coming out of the asphalt that was previously put down a few years ago that we're gonna talk about in a minute. Many, many gallons were washed and forced down the drain by Public Works, okay? The day that it happened, you guys just, I called up the Borough Hall and I said you did an effing terrible job. Okay, that's my fault, yes. What Public Works said to me by just throwing one little bag of Speedy Dry down was way worse than that. How's that? After they spewed gallons, and it's not just in front of my house, it's up one side of the street, down the other, all the way down Colonial to Heritage Boulevard, wraps around all the way down Cannonball, all the way to the end. It's over a mile of a mess, but really a big mess on Liberty Drive. Okay, I called them up. I came home and I see all this stuff on Liberty Drive. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? So I get out of the car, and of course in front of my house, because I have called up many times, like one bag of Speedy Dry was dumped down on there, and nobody was around. Okay, why would they just do it in front of my house? Okay, so I called them up and they said, oh, we had a little accident. It's no big deal. Both, they finally came with a sweeper. The sweeper was a tiny little sweeper. The guy, in my personal opinion, and I'm a professional construction guy, he didn't even know how to operate the thing, and it was after 4 o'clock, okay? And then it started raining. So of course, he's running the sweeper up and down the street and pushing all the stuff into the gutter, okay? And it's going all down the drain. First of all, it's the whole length of the street, okay? On both sides of the street, not one, on Liberty Drive. And he's pushing it from the middle of the road, closer to the curb, backing up, doing it for the whole rainstorm. So it's going down the drain like crazy. No big deal. Tinton Falls is a green town. We're all so green and all so clean. On the drains, it says, don't put nothing down here because it goes to the ocean. Okay, I called up. no big deal. Before you know it, it's my fault, kinda, that it happened, that I called up and I'm a pain in the neck again. So that went on, and that was on Wednesday. Nothing on Thursday. I called up Friday, the weekend comes, nothing. Guys didn't do anything. I called up Vingo Powell's office. They said they had called and spoke to the town attorney, and we're working on things. I called the engineer. The engineer said, oh, it's not my problem. I have nothing to do with it or anything like that. Nothing got done. Sunday night it starts raining, maybe 7 o'clock at night. Rains all night, all through the day, through Monday. Then they come with this sand or whatever they came with and put it around all the drains. It stopped raining. Stuff ain't going down the drain no more. It just rained for 17 hours straight. It all ran down the drain again. The rain got rid of more of the hydraulic fluid than the town did itself. And they did a terrible job, and it's a mess out there, and the quality of my street is ruined, okay? And we don't want to stand for it. On the other hand, just a short period of time, my street was paved, okay? So it's got new asphalt on it, so it's sucked down in there. When the sun comes out, it's gonna keep on coming out of there. The engineer said, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah, it is. And when the kids play on there and the animals walk on there, it's getting in all over them. It's getting in the cars, it's getting on our driveway. Soon it's gonna be in our house. Okay, so it's unacceptable. It's a terrible job. The town did a terrible job. Nobody responded. I seen a maintenance guy out here on Wednesday. A couple of them came. They were standing in the back of a pickup truck. Then they threw like 50 bags of Speedy Dry out and they tried to clean it up. It's still a mess with all the rain. The Speedy Dry is all over the place. The hydraulic fluid is all over the place in there. It's totally unacceptable. Another thing is, my street was just paved a year and a half ago. I was talking to every single department in this town to come out and see what these people are doing here. They were doing a terrible job. Engineer would not come out. Public Works said it's not my problem. Building Department said it's not my problem. Administrator said it's not my problem. Couldn't get anybody to come out. The street now is 1 block long street. It's got 10 cracks in it from one side of the street to the other, from curb to curb. I was calling and calling and talking and talking. Oh, we're not going to pay him, we're not going to pay him, we're not going to pay him, we're not going to pay him. Not going to pay him, you guys paid him. What you pay him for? If I came to your house and gave you 10 windows and every one was cracked, would you pay me? What you pay that company that for? The street is ruined. It needs to be repaved. The street Liberty Drive needs to be repaved. They came there when they paved it. I see them doing a parkway job, multi-million dollars. This is a billion-dollar company. The three brothers, I worked in all three of their houses doing electrical work, okay? They're millionaires over the hill. They're doing parkway jobs. They're not cracked. Why has my street got 10 cracks on it? They did a terrible job.
Is the point you're making your street should be repaved?
It absolutely should be repaved. You can't live like that. Did you go over and viewed it? If like he said, everybody knows about it in here, nobody came over and looked at it. It's a mess over there. It's a mess. It's unacceptable. There's no way you can leave that street like that. First of all, you should have sued that contractor, like I kept telling the town in advance, to fix the street. He did a terrible job from the get-go, and then this on top of it, that street's not acceptable.
Well,
there's no way.
At this point, I know that Public Works was out there, I know that it...
And they did a terrible job.
Okay, then we'll discuss it with Public Works. If I get a chance, I'll take a look at it myself.
I'll show you a picture of it.
Have other people look at it, and we'll make a decision.
Well,
I know what your objective is, you want to get the street paved.
But the street needs to be paved. It needs to be paved.
We'll
It's
make that-
ruined. The street is ruined. We should have had the contractor we gave the money to, we should have had him
Okay.
redo it.
Mr. Piazza, you made your point, we'll look at it.
Okay. And who's going to give me an answer on it?
Somebody will get back to you.
Okay. Are you going to get back to me or somebody's
I
going to get
didn't
back to me?
say that, I said somebody will get back to you.
Okay, and when's that going to happen?
When
Go ahead, I'm
when we look at it.
Huh?
When we look at it.
Okay, when are you going to look at it?
When we get around to it.
Like the police here, and then you sent 3 police to my house the other night. 3 police to my house, you got 2 here now. Why, you couldn't send them out on a construction job not to do anything? This is ridiculous. I call up and I make a point, 3 police officers come. You always got 2 to come to here, to this meeting all the time? Or is it because I told the administrator that I was coming, so he called up and reinforcement? I'm not intimidated.
We normally have police at our meetings.
1, and I see 2 here tonight. Is there always two? No, because I came here because they think of something. Because you know what? Nobody in this town speaks up, as you can see. I used to speak up all the time, and you know what? Nothing but headaches I got from this town with my kids, from everybody else, and everywhere. There's no Second Amendment in this town, or First Amendment in this town, or any amendment in this town, because when you say something, you come and harass us.
Okay.
I'm expecting an answer, and I'm expecting soon, because it's not going over. I'm not letting it go.
Well, you gotta come to our next meeting. If no one's gotten back to you, you can lace into us again.
Let me ask you a question. Why did we pay that contractor when the whole road is totally cracked all the time?
I'll
From the
find
very
out,
get-go,
I'll
it was
find out
cracked.
why we did that. I
Uh-huh.
can't, at the top of my head, I can't answer that,
Okay,
but I'll
can you
find
look
out.
into that? Can you look into that and give me an answer to that? Who decided to pay and why that was paid? Because I think we should still sue them if we can, and make them come repave the road. They're the ones who messed it up. Because the engineer told me that it was our money, not state money, that paved the street. If that's true or not.
I don't know.
Okay, that's what we need to look at. Why we should look into suing them. They screwed it up. And another thing that I asked the administrator today, was there any discipline taking in the guys? He said, it's none of my business. It certainly is my business. The guy who drove that truck, who drove all of that distance and spewed all of that hydraulic fluid all over thing, I don't care if he's in the union or not. I was in the union 25 years. He should be fired, and his boss should be fired for letting him leave that mess there and walking away from it. Are you kidding me? That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. You guys should all be embarrassed. If you all knew about it and nobody came and done anything about it, you all should be embarrassed. You should see it. Would you like me to come over to your house and dump all that hydraulic fluid on your street? Of course not.
No.
And leave it and walk away. And walk away, because that's what you guys just did to us. That's what you did, okay? And I'm not standing for it.
Anybody else? Too bad, great presentation. No other comments? Okay. I'd like, clerk, do we have any comments that were submitted prior to the meeting via email?
No, there were none.
There are no further comments. May I have a motion to close the public discussion?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does any member of the council have anything to add? No? Have we got anything to add after that presentation? No? You know how to fix the street, you know how to solve this problem? You, no way? Okay. Before we move to the consent agenda, are there any items any member of the council would like to be removed, be voted upon separately?
Yes, Council President, R 23153, that is a bill that I cannot vote on in the approval of the bills.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, then may I ask the clerk to read the title of the resolution?
R 23-153, resolution authorizing approval of bills, $2,394,009.41.
May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Clay?
Abstain.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Nessie?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes. Now we move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Buckley?
Yes.
Mrs. Clay?
Yes.
Dr. Dobrin?
Yes.
Mr. Manginelli?
Yes. This concludes today's business. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now adjourned.